The guy is no joke. How do I know? Well, the Kochs are paying attention to him. Good to have you with us, folks, here on this Thursday edition of the Ed Schultz Internet broadcast from the North Country. Bernie Sanders last night on TV saying some very interesting things. He will not take a shot at Hillary Clinton. He will not run a negative campaign. There won't be any negative ads. He's not connected to a super PAC. He is an issues guy, and that's why people are gravitating to him. He's going north in the polls, and she's going south. And her lack of an answer on Keystone, her lack of an answer on the TPP, I think right now are going to become campaign problems because she's not given the straight talk. This idea that she was Secretary of State, I just don't think people are going to buy it. I also don't think that there's a lot of Republicans out there that are going to appreciate the heavy-handed dealing that the Koch brothers are pulling on Donald Trump. Now, Trump has gone from being a joke to he'll never run, he can't do it, to being disregarded, to being not important, and now to being shut out. When you are shut out of something, that means you got the power. And Trump has the power right now to really screw things up for the Republican Party. And the Koch brothers, by shutting him out, if you know Trump's personality, it's only going to get his back up. He doesn't want to be disrespected. He doesn't want to be demeaned. And they are publicly embarrassing the guy right now. The story goes that the Kochs, of course, every summer have this Republican conservative shindig out at their place in Orange County. They invite everybody out to do a dog and pony show to vet the candidates to see who they really want to give money to. And we're talking billions of dollars. And so Koch is not, the Kochs who used to be friends with Trump, they're not going to invite him. In fact, they're not going to give him access to any data to help him run his campaign. In fact, that they're not going to give him any access to mega donors that are connected at the hip to the Koch brothers. So this is now the start of a political war. I don't think that Trump is going to take it lightly. I don't think he's going to take it sitting down. And I think that this is going to only get his back up to motivate him to run for a third-party position if he doesn't get the nomination. This is disrespecting a billionaire. Now, this is all a product of Citizens United. Okay, so Trump can bankroll his own gig right now. Now, to embarrass him, I think is going to gravitate people to Trump. I think that there's going to be some middle-class, independent-thinking voters out there that are not only entertained by Trump, but they like the idea of some of the things that he's throwing out there. They're going to weigh heavily what he does in the debates. He doesn't back down. People like that. He doubles down on controversial stuff. He's his own man. He's not bought and paid for by anybody. And so now the Kochs are trying to kick him out of the club, and I think more people are going to gravitate to Trump on that. I could be wrong. Let's go to Mike Papantonio, Ring of Fire radio host, and a great friend. Mike, good to have you with us.
Ed, how are you?
What do you make of this Koch smackdown on the big guy?
I think it's the perfect take. Right now, if you go and take a look at social media or follow what's going on television, they're looking at this completely different what you just described. And they're wrong. I think you're right from the standpoint of this. The Kochs in the past have been able to say, we're really not part of that establishment. We're not part of that GOP establishment that makes decisions for everybody in the Republican Party. They've been able to say that up until now. Now, all of a sudden, Trump is the outsider, and the Republicans that are gravitating towards Trump, they're attracted by that. So all of a sudden, everybody in that pool of Koch money, they now are the establishment, and you have Trump running against that establishment. It's really, the nuance to this is easily missed unless you really consider the history of the Trumps. And that's why I think your assessment is exactly right. Well, this helps Trump. It doesn't hurt him.
I don't know that every Republican out there is going to be enamored with the Trump's heavy-handed operation. I think that they're going to feel like it's too controlled, too manipulated, and it's not in their best interest. They can't just walk in lockstep, hey, I'm a conservative, I'm with the Kochs on all this garbage. Mm-hmm. And I think there could be a voter backlash on something like this. I mean, If the Kochs were to bring Trump to their gig and then tell it like it is in his face, that's respecting him, and he might be able to live with it. This is disrespecting him by shutting him out of the operation and trying to hamper his campaign by not giving him access to the kind of data that they're doing, and you know what kind of stuff they're doing, Mike.
Oh, of course. I mean, listen, to me, the only thing that the Kochs had going for them at one point was we're this new thing. We're the Tea Party. We're the outside of the Republican establishment. Now, the guy that represents the challenge to the establishment has been told, don't come to our party because we are the establishment. And that's a big problem for the either way you look at it, it's a problem for the Republican Party.
Over to the Democratic side, you got Bernie Sanders, who continues to hit this theme of billionaires can't run the country. Here it is.
What this campaign is about is saying that our great country and our government belong to all of the people and not a handful of billionaires. Today, we live in a nation which has more income and more wealth inequality than any other major country on earth. That is not acceptable, and together we are going to change that.
These are popular positions, Pap. Mm-hmm. And Bernie doesn't need a script. This is who the guy is. He's surging. Hillary Clinton isn't. Where's this going to go?
Well, I mean, look, this discussion about, I'm not going to attack Hillary, I'm not going to say anything negative, he doesn't have to. Because all he has to do is speak words like that, and then the other side, everybody understands that she raised, almost $50 million, actually above $50 million, and so much, 54, 56, somewhere in that range, and so much of it came from hedge funds. So much of it came from Wall Street. Actually, people are understanding now, they're asking the question, I don't get this. Why is it that Wall Street is giving more money to Hillary than they are the GOP? So when he goes out and makes statements like that, all it does is it turns on that light. It turns on that light and says, well, let's contrast these two individuals. And right now, unfortunately for Hillary, she really can't do anything but what she's doing. She doesn't want to hold big town hall meetings. She doesn't want to go to stadiums thinking that maybe I won't fill up the stadium. She's better off going to Wall Street, meeting behind closed doors with Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, and all these hedge funds. She's raising all her money that way. But there's a problem there, Ed. Grassroots really still works. And this, all Bernie's doing by this grassroots attack is he's calling on basic traditional politics that has been forgotten. He's building at the grassroots level. When he shows up, he's showing up to give a speech. Now, in the process of giving the speech, people say, let me write you a check for $50. Let me write you a check for $100.
Well, that's how Obama did it.
The geometric effect of that with social media is profound.
The president in Ethiopia earlier this week said something very interesting about his job and what he'd like to do.
I am in my second term. It has been an extraordinary privilege for me to serve as the President of the United States. I cannot imagine a greater honor or a more interesting job. I love my work. But under our Constitution, I cannot run again. I can't run again. I actually think I'm a pretty good president. I think if I ran, I could win. But I can't.
So he loves all the obstruction, I guess. Where I'm turning here, Mike, is if Barack Obama feels that way, then he must feel like he can have an impact on somebody's campaign in a big way. Is he going to jump in this Hillary-Bernie fight? Is he going to? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Is he going to wait to see who gets the nomination before he gets out there, or is he going to jump into this thing? What do you think?
Right now, he has no benefit at all jumping in. He's already on shaky grounds with most progressives, whether it's TPP. I could go on forever. Drilling all over the damn world, opening drilling fields all over the world, his failure to do anything about Wall Street. Progressives already are very suspect of Obama. Why, for his legacy, why would he go out there and take on the most popular progressive candidate that's ever been behind a podium. Why would he do that? And now his advisors may say you simply have to because the Democratic Party is relying on that. Well, that's ridiculous. But the truth is, I see no advantage in him doing that. If I were advising him, I'd say, hell no, stay as far away from this as you can. You have nothing to gain.
Hillary Clinton, no answer on Keystone, no answer on TPP. Where does it go?
Well, it goes to where people, you can sum it up in 10 seconds. Answer the question. Why won't you answer the question? And her answer of, I was with the State Department, we were involved with that, there was an incredible pause before she gave that question, the answer to that question. And the pause was deafening almost. It was silent pause. It was deafening because she really had not prepared for that. And then this off-the-cuff answer was because I was with the State Department. Listen, every day she talks about issues where she was involved with the State Department.
The one thing about Hillary is that she walked into this. She was the one that gave a big speech earlier this week on climate change and what she wanted to do, and everybody's for solar panels. Nobody can argue with her on that. But when it comes to the fossil fuel industry, she seems to be connected at the hip. She doesn't want to piss off Wall Street. She doesn't want to piss off the big oil companies. And so she's gonna walk the fence and hide behind her experience as Secretary of State, which I think is bogus.
It's completely bogus. And the problem that she has right now is the more she's going to have to continue doing this. You understand? Somebody's going to say, "What do you think we ought to do about Wall Street? What do you think we ought to do about these issues that Wall Street cares so much about?" And she's going to be put in the same box with that silent pause that's deafening, and then to come up with some harebrained excuse why she can't be involved. So I think we're going to see a lot of that going forward. An emerging story I think is incredible right now. I just think it's amazing. Is this discussion has Bill become a liability for her? I think we're going to start seeing more and more of that in the next few years.
Everybody knows how power hungry he is. He's not going to keep his nose out of what's going on. He's going to be right in there. He is undoubtedly her top political advisor.
Yeah, exactly. And, you're seeing more and more just odd little stories that emerge. The story that emerged yesterday about the question of, drawing parallels between Bill Clinton and Bill Cosby. I mean, stuff like that. We're going to see more and more of that. It just shakes the foundation of what Hillary's trying to do, and that is have a clean campaign.
Mike Papantonio, your unvarnished opinion on where the legal world is going to be on this Democratic fight. We're the Trial Lawyers Association. All these political active lawyers across the country who are concerned about the justice system and how the candidates need to address it and whatnot. Where is this going to end?
Well, you'd like to think that most lawyers are politically astute enough to understand who is the better candidate here. But they have built such a foundation, the Clintons have built such a foundation within the legal community. Now, I am seeing, I was president of the National Trial Lawyers. I'm very active in leadership of trial lawyers all over the country. And I am seeing this attitude, maybe this isn't the best thing. Now, that's the plaintiff side. That's the claimant side. Now, the defense firms that Clinton came from, she came from one of the biggest insurance corporate defense firms in America, the Rose firm down in Arkansas. They have this allegiance to Clinton that I don't think will be shaken. But you have the plaintiffs, claimants, people who represent people who were injured, people who represent people in class actions. They're understanding that really Hillary has nothing in common with them. They expected more from Obama. He didn't deliver anything. As a matter of fact, he hurt trial lawyers across the board. And so you just have to ask yourself, you're going to see a split within the lawyer community, and it's going to line up just like it does anywhere else, defense firms versus claimants firms.
Mike Papantonio, Ring of Fire radio host, America's Lawyer. Great to have you with us, buddy. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Ed.
This is the Ed Schultz Internet Broadcast. Now this.
Hey, folks, you've heard me talk about BioGreen Clean. I'm going to show you right now on my airplane just how tough this is. I want you to keep in mind, chemical-free, 100% plant-derived, biodegradable. It is the safest cleaner that you can get, and it's the most effective. Go to our website, wegoted.com, or go to biogreenclean.com. www.biogreenclean and order today.
It's time to continue our conversation about mechanical insulation. Mechanical insulation is for the piping systems in our nation's commercial and industrial facilities. Facility owners are burning up billions of dollars through the lack of mechanical insulation on these piping systems. Call the iSave team. Insulation saves America valuable energy, and this team of energy conservation specialists is shovel-ready to save you money. Visit iSaveTeam.org to have a specialist give your plant an energy audit.
We perpetuate a culture of crime all the way from Wall Street right down to the main street in our hometowns. It's worse than it has been since FDR took control of the problem and said we can't count on industry taking care of the American labor. They probably have already engaged into some type of criminal cover-up, and the law prohibits the government from even doing anything about it.
Catch America's lawyer Mike Papantonio on YouTube at youtube.com/GoLeftTV.
Subscribe to the Ed Schultz podcast today. Simply log on to iTunes, search for Ed Schultz, and click the subscribe button to have the show delivered to your preferred listening device daily, free of charge. Rate and review the podcast to tell us how we're doing. More details at wegoted.com.
So how are the people going to be reacting to the non-answers by the leading candidate of the Democrats? One on the environment, one on trade. That's the story. To put a camera in front of the folks in Iowa and ask them if they're okay with this, or is this a problem? This is the Ed Schultz Internet Broadcasting. Follow me on Twitter at Ed Show. The Ed Show tonight at MSNBC. Communication Workers of America, Alliance for American Manufacturing, BioGreen Clean, and the iSave team bring you this podcast. We're back tomorrow.